How do you win over fans who are stifled with the confined hallways and suffocating linearity of Remake? Simple. You do the exact opposite.
Wow. Just look at it all. It's so green.
You give fans what they want, and then you give them more and more of it. You infuse your game with so many dopamine rush thrills that the fans have no choice but to admit that, yes, you were listening to that millennial generation who grew up with this game, and you hear them loud and clear. That was clearly the wrong footage. Let me try that again. Nah, we're talking military parade performances, fighting off squid demons that look like Davy Jones, flying around with magical water chocobos, performing in theatrical dramas, waging wars with 1,000 needles, arming Cloud with a gun before switching to a half-naked version with an umbrella to fight off a robotic squid, trying to make green chocobos as cool as those blue ones, finding elixirs in random crates from a minecart race, proving Tifa's abs are harder than a jock's, throwing Aerith into a 1 versus mini tournament against bombs, and facing a timeless Final Fantasy antagonist of old.
Had enough?
It sure worked on me. I couldn't even begin to fathom how big each map was. Rebirth is so huge that I had to purchase a 4 terabyte SSD drive just to make sure I had ample space to collect and edit everything. Sorry, I'm just realizing that Rebirth pretty much cost me $500. If you count the PS5 that I bought pretty much for this game, that's over $1,000 on a game. Meh, what are you gonna do? In Remake, you felt like you were constantly being herded through the narrowest of gaps and hallways, sometimes literally, with the constant sidling, ducking under, and crawling through things, disguising the fact that the PS4 was woefully unfit for such an ambitious project. Let's take a look back. Wow, Cloud, he tries to turn into Solid Snake here, shambling through vents and spying on different people, crawling around at 2 miles an hour. This is awful. This wouldn't even be exciting if you pumped the original Metal Gear Solid music in here as background. Even when you did get to explore with some quests and such, you ended up just running back and forth through the different slum areas of Sector 5 and Sector 7, sometimes to do the exact same thing, twice. Here, you are welcome to the world. As soon as you're done with Calm and escape to the great outdoors, it becomes abundantly clear that the shrunken world map you were used to is now open and begging you to explore it. Barrett says it best at the outset.
Pick a direction and start walking.
Wander to every deserted beach, slash buoys with a sword until they fly 100 feet in the air. Watch where it lands, and then be like, whoa, there's a small rock island out there. Let's get my holy mage's dress soaking wet and make my 280-pound pal with a machine gun on his arm swim like Michael Phelps to it. And then I can find a bunch of loot and a materia orb. This sequence here is something that Remake never would have attempted, and puts into perspective perfectly the power of the PS5's polygon pushing prowess. It's glorious. Rebirth has a very Breath of the Wild feel to it, right down to the towers being very reminiscent of Breath of the Wild's Sheikah versions. And like that game, you're scaling terrain, which the prologue makes abundantly clear. Cloud is nimble, athletic, and can finally stretch his legs across a grand expanse of rocky mountainsides, blistering sand dunes, lush jungles, and barren wastelands. Random cache spots encourage you to explore, rewarding you with treasures. Chocobos, they just boost your options, each adding a new dimension every time. The basic chocobo doubles your traveling speed, making it extra exciting to zoom around and uncover the grassland secrets. Dark chocobos scale mountains, helping you find hidden life springs and quests. Green jungle versions launch off of mushrooms to take your breath away as you realize just how much square area there is to explore. And my favorite, the blue ocean chocobos, somehow harness a perpetual water geyser to hover along Nibelheim's mountainous waterways. Together, their abilities, again, remind me of the constant mountain scaling and hand gliding from Breath of the Wild.
Realistic? Not in the least. But is it fun? Heck yeah, it is!
You see an owl, and no matter how many of them you find, it's just a thrill to get moving, knowing you'll find another new Lifespring location. Speaking of, some destinations were barely a footnote in the original Final Fantasy VII, like Gongega. It's almost entirely optional to even go there, save for a tiny part midway through the game. It's just a couple huts, a fork in the road, and a reactor screen. That's it. Well, now it's completely transformed into a lush, vibrant jungle teeming with organic life all over the place. On a wider scale, though, there's still segments that manage to make the game feel like classic Final Fantasy VII Exploring 2. While the buggy is much more impressive and enhanced with features like auto-piloting right to you, it serves that same function of river crossing and easy overworld trekking that the original had. When the tiny Bronco is shot down and you're forced to coast through the river systems and the Meridian Ocean, I was taken back to 97, where you felt so small and the world felt so big. Each time the plot advances and you see a new continent, the whole area completely obscured with cloud cover, you think back to games like Ocarina of Time, and you realize that it's going to be a long but fun ride full of surprises. Once you've opened up that huge world, the PS5's power comes in handy when you want to fast travel, sending you literally across the world in less than 5 seconds. It's especially useful when you complete a part of a quest and need to go somewhere else to collect your reward. Remember Remake? It took over 40 seconds just to quit a minigame. A tiny minigame where you broke boxes like a maniac. That's not fun. Who wants to sit here and look at this feeble flickering loading icon? No one! The fact that I can rant this long about load times in a game that was released only 4 years ago is another damning strike against Remake, a game that was already full of many flaws, some of which were much bigger than load times. Check it out while you wait for this load screen to finish. Oh my god, are you done? Finally, we're back to this tiny area. Oh, the CPU and GPU must have really stressed to render those kids and their cardboard sword animations. Oh, that kind of effect, you know, that requires some grunt work.
You are given much more freedom and opportunities to interact with your party members as well.
It's so cool to have to choose options that you think each of your comrades will react positively towards.
Do you remember the first time we met?
You shoved a flower in my face.
It's called a gift, Cloud.
The church, right?
Oh, so close. That was the second time.
Nope.
You're kidding. The yellow flower, Sector 8?
Although, honestly, it doesn't seem to matter if you make them angry, sad, or happy. Everything you say deepens the bond. Like here, Red quizzes me on mushroom knowledge.
Which of these do you think they are?
I fail miserably.
Too easy. The middle patch.
So close, yet so wrong.
And yet the relationship deepens. See the circle improvement? Went from a green circle to a brighter blue circle. So as long as you remember to just talk to everyone, you're in good shape.
Yeah, I totally agree.
What?
Ugh, should've known better than to get philosophical with you.
Still, it gives some replay value just to hear all the different reactions, and this ceremony at Cosmo Canyon exhibits huge differences in the tone of the scene, depending on Cloud's decisions too. One that stood out to me was his reaction to Aerith's emotional Cetra speech.
It's okay. That's enough.
It's okay. I'll keep going.
I'm so glad that we're still given a choice of how our Cloud develops, and it all ties in so amazingly to the gold saucer date, which is so cool. It deserves a video all on its own to go in depth with them all and the conversations within. It's not just the one-on-one interactions either. You can alter a railroad track to be more thrilling if you want Barrett to be satisfied.
I hate you, Cloud! You're dead, you spiky-haired Cloud, you're so gonna pay for this.
Give the man a break. I think it was a memorable experience.
Or you can spare Yuffie extra motion sickness.
Guess Cloud didn't feel like completely screwing us over.
What a letdown.
Almost every quest you undertake will feature one of the party members as a partner companion, thus letting you deepen your relationship with them if you succeed. It's up to you how much you want party camaraderie to develop.
There's something for everyone here. Do you want to practice piano?
Just look at the depth presented in this minigame. There's all the main chords and notes, options to change the pitch of both your main tones and semitones, and a whole bunch of stuff I don't know nearly enough about to comment on. And several of the pieces are very difficult. Forcing you to practice a lot to make that A grade for a reward.
Mellifluous melodies are all the more pleasing.
I wish I was better at this, because it's remarkable how much care was put into it, and it's amazing how much they expanded on this random tidbit from ages past, where Cloud jams on Tifa's piano, expanding and growing it into a globe-trotting pianist.
Pianist. That's an apt word for the situation I'm describing. Stop smiling.
A globe-trotting pianist quest! It's so satisfying to fully complete Aerith's song in piano. Even though most of us wouldn't have a hope with actual ivory, the sense of accomplishment and emotion of the added instrumentals if you do well makes the chills flow through us. Then there's the Proto Relic quests. These are daunting and take up dozens of hours, but they also contribute tons to the point I'm trying to make, as they encompass such a variety of tasks. And while some of those jobs are so mundane, including this awful stealth mission against those loser thieves from Remake, others are must-see adventures, which includes the discovery of Fort Condor.
I was so pumped to see this in the game.
If you've seen my original Final Fantasy VII retrospective, you know it's my favorite added element in the original. Rebirth is a revamped version of that strategy minigame from before. While I was disappointed that the actual Fort Condor isn't a fully realized location in Rebirth's new world, it's now just kind of like a board game that exists within it.
Fort Condor, huh? Takes me back. Used to study basic tactics with it.
Game's pretty fun, actually. Wedge was into it, and he and I'd play sometimes.
This is made up for by the fact that it has PS1 style artwork, similarly to how the 97 games Fort Condor consisted of a retro 8-bit design, and it keeps that thrilling action strategy flow of the original, with a strategy triangle and different units that fare better against specific foes, complete with all the ornaments like catapults. And this time, you can even deploy Cloud, Tifa, and Barret on the battlefield to do one-time buff attacks that can completely save you when the match is getting out of hand. It's a challenging but nostalgic experience that helps you on the way to finding Gilgamesh, whose eccentric personality makes the time investment so rewarding with each and every amusing cutscene and eventually battle you have against him. I know Gilgamesh has reappeared in other Final Fantasy games, and I'm glad that they put him in this version of Final Fantasy VII, because he's a fan favorite. It's truly an endurance once you finally get to fight him, first forcing you to battle against your incredible collection of summoning materia before a final showdown with the eccentric swordsman himself. Again, you don't need to do any of this, but the game encourages you every step of the way with rewards aplenty. It's also riddled with so bad it's good dialogue.
Excalibur! My Excalibur! This is what Excalibur!
Want to spend hours at the Gold Saucer minigames, trading in points for rare cards and participating in combat arenas with multiple squad mates and 6-person battle teams? You can. Want to scour the world for various resources and buff up your equipment to top tier levels? Go for it. Find every secret of the world intel to craft the rarest materia? For sure. Race chocobos across an almost Mario Kart amount of tracks? Spend hours switching beach outfits? Play cards against dogs? Dig up toy models from the soil? Make Red tackle a ball that's 4 times his size? Have Cloud trade in his sword for a gun?
Take pictures of bunnies? Or do you simply want to just ignore all that outside noise?
Feel every bump in the road as it happens in this rewritten plot thread. Enjoy your most beloved cast of RPG characters bonding.
Oh, no, you don't. That bed's mine.
Sweet dreams. See you tomorrow.
Traveling, helping,
What's Cloud been doing these past 5 years? Where's he been?
And you're asking me this?
and fighting together until you reach what you knew was going to be at the end, even though you also knew that you wouldn't be prepared for it. That focused narrative option is open to you as well.
So, I'm curious, gamers, what did you make of the gargantuan amount of variety and freedom within Rebirth? Please let me know in the comments, and please like and subscribe for more in-depth talk of Final Fantasy VII and other games right here at Gaming Introspection. It's always good to see you, gamers. Take care.